and welcome to Trending Now, the podcast for a Friday, June the 2nd, 2023. Thanks so much for joining us here this afternoon. As always, it has been a very busy week. Lots to get to on today's show, recapping the week that was on Trending Now, which, of course, you can catch every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. and 11:30 here on CHCH and online, chch.com. As mentioned, a busy week. We turned the calendar from May into June, and with June come a couple of months that deserve recognition. We'll get to that in just a second. There was an election in Alberta. We'll get to that as well. But let's start out east in Nova Scotia, where an unprecedented string of wildfires continues to burn out of control. Thousands of residents have been forced to flee their homes and are now left wondering what their neighborhoods will look like when they return. Fire officials were hoping for a break in the dry, windy weather that they've been getting, but the forecast doesn't call for any rain until tonight. So as of Wednesday, there were about 3 out-of-control wildfires in Nova Scotia and about 21,000 people forced from their homes by mandatory evacuation orders. That's not it. Fire bans have been put in place as expected for Nova Scotia. Originally set for $235 fines, they've been increased to $18,000 fines. In addition to these wildfires that we're seeing out east, we've seen wildfires out west as well in BC and Alberta. And as a result, 700 firefighters from South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and the United States are set to arrive in Canada over the next 2 weeks to help with the unusually severe start to the wildfire season. There are already more than 500 international firefighters, incident commanders, and other workers in Alberta, which has been battling multiple severe fires since early May. Now, most of the additional help will also go to Alberta, although some are being sent to Nova Scotia, where the fires have been wreaking havoc for the last week. Federal Emergency Preparedness Minister Bill Blair says the Canada Interagency Forest Fire Centre ensures that crews from across the provinces and from other countries are sent to the areas that need the most help. Blair says this fire season has been unprecedented both for the number of big and uncontained fires this early in the year and the number of provinces affected at the same time. Currently, as of today, there are 214 fires burning across the country. 93 of them are out of control, and that's up from 87 out of control fires yesterday. And again, we're seeing fire bans here. I believe Muskoka has one, and we're seeing them across the country, and some scary stuff, and hopefully a relief in this dry weather we've been seeing across the country to help these firefighters battle these blazes sooner rather than later. Speaking of Alberta, there was a big election there this week, and it's official. Danielle Smith will continue her duties as the Premier of Alberta.
Well, my friends, the election is now over. It is time to put partisanship, division, and personal and political attacks in the rearview mirror. It's time to move forward together as all Albertans, no matter who we voted for.
Now, the victory wasn't easy for Smith, who's seen her fair share of controversies lately. Her UCP, or United Conservative Party, lost 14 seats last night in a tight race between her and NDP leader and a former premier, Rachel Notley.
So we have achieved tremendous growth and opportunity for our future and for the values that we all share. However, tonight I also know that we are all very deeply disappointed in the overall result. We had all hoped for a different one.
Now, some say Smith's win could be a result of the confidence the people of Alberta have in the United Conservative Party rather than Smith herself. Now, on the show this week, Laurie Williams, an associate professor of policy studies at Mount Royal University, thinks Smith will probably be fairly cautious in the months ahead.
Some of the candidates were campaigning at the doors and saying, don't worry, vote for us and we'll get rid of Danielle Smith after the election. she had a number of high-profile conservatives criticizing her, and some even campaigning for or endorsing the NDP. She's had a lot of opposition from within the party.
Now, Smith has frequently taken aim at Prime Minister Justin Trudeau over his energy policies, from the carbon price to introducing measures that aim to reduce emissions from the oil and gas sand industry, arguing that they hurt Alberta's economy. And then she reiterated that message in her victory speech.
We need to come together, no matter how we have voted, to stand shoulder to shoulder against soon-to-be announced Ottawa policies that would significantly harm our provincial economy. And as Premier, I cannot, under any circumstances, allow these contemplated federal policies to be inflicted upon Albertans. I simply can't, and I won't.
Challenging Ottawa, if it's not effective, isn't going to help. And she only really has one ally currently amongst other premiers. And if she wants to move Alberta's agenda forward, she's probably going to need to bring support on side from other premiers, find a better way of working with the federal government.
Meanwhile, in a Twitter post, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau congratulated Smith, saying, "Let's keep working together to deliver results for Albertans. Let's create more good jobs, grow our economy, and continue to position Alberta as a leader in clean energy." As you may know, and hopefully you do know, the beginning of the week was May, and now we're into June. And June is National Indigenous History Month. A month to celebrate the accomplishments of Indigenous people like artists, athletes, doctors, advocates, and many more. In 1996, June 21st, which was the summer solstice, was proclaimed National Aboriginal Day in Canada. Decades later, in 2017, Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, renamed it National Indigenous Peoples Day, and the whole month of June was declared National Indigenous History Month in 2009. Now, the recent discovery of hundreds of unmarked graves at the sites of former residential schools across Canada reminded us of the genocide and oppression Indigenous people survived for centuries when children were taken away from their families against their will. It sparked widespread outcry, protests, and immediate calls for action, and now searches at those sites are being planned and underway. Unfortunately, the mistreatment of Indigenous people is still continuing today, like those who live on reserves, where there are still 31 long-term drinking water advisories in effect for 27 communities. And so far since 2015, 139 of those advisories have been lifted. Now, thousands of Indigenous women and girls have also suffered from violence, and according to reports, it's believed that as many as 4,000 Indigenous women and girls were killed or went missing over the past 30 years. In 2015, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission released its final report outlining 94 calls to action for the Canadian government. And while some progress has been made, there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. In a statement, Prime Minister Trudeau wrote, "Only when we learn about and honor the rich history and cultures of Indigenous people in Canada can we truly walk the path of reconciliation. This month, I invite Canadians to seek out the educational opportunities presented by National Indigenous History Month, engage in local Indigenous-led events, and discover books, movies, and music by Indigenous artists." June also marks the traditional start of Pride Month, and one Ontario school board didn't really seem to get the message, as the York Catholic District School Board has voted 6-4 against flying a pride flag outside its main office to mark Pride Month in June. The meeting was attended by advocates, protesters, and spectators. The board, truly with all eyes on them after previous attempts to discuss the raising of the pride flag, descended into pure chaos. Last month, security had to remove a number of parents and community members from the board's Aurora headquarters over a meeting about the pride flag. Now, the York Catholic District School Board released a statement celebrating Pride Week, Pride Month, and as expected, they're getting slammed on social media as, you know, they took the time to tweet, "Happy Pride Month to our 2SLGBTQIA+ community and their loved ones. We love you. We see you. And they quote Pope Francis here. It says, "We are all children of God, and God loves us as we are, and for the strength that each of us fights for our dignity." That's a Pope Francis quote. And as you can expect, they've blocked people from just commenting on it. Only YCDSB can comment on it, but it doesn't stop people from quote tweeting it like, "This is a joke. You can't have it both ways." Which I guess is true. Yeah, you can't have it both ways, but the York Catholic District School Board certainly trying to anyway. Kelly was joined by the president of P-Flag York Region, Tristan Kuhlman, who said that this chapter said that the board is not safe for the LGBTQ2IA plus community of York Region. And Kelly asked him why the organization decided to deem the board unsafe and whether that was the right decision.
It was an important decision because the Catholic Board and the trustees really need to be held accountable for what's happening up there. And also, it's really, frankly, something that they agree with. If you look at comments made at the last board meeting, if you look at their own student climate survey from 2021, it's clear that students, not just queer students, but Black students, Latinx students, Middle Eastern students, they all face difficulties in navigating the school board. They face difficulties in affirming their faith and affirming their place within the Catholic Board and reconciling those two together. And they also feel that the rules are unjustly applied and equitably applied across the spectrum. So we're really just kind of using the evidence that the board has already given us on top of their own actions. And I think it's a pretty easy argument to make.
What advice do you have for Catholic school boards who are hiding behind their faith instead of supporting the LGBTQ2IA plus students within their own walls?
Yeah, that's a great question. At P-Flag, we've never denounced someone's faith. We've always thought that, faith and queer lived experiences can intersect together and should intersect together. There's so much hate in the world and so much division in the world that we need to bring people together, and especially people of faith who, for a longstanding history have had that impression that their queer lived experiences, it just can't jive or just doesn't mix well with faith and religion. And we've heard that so many times at P-Flag. There are folks who are struggling with that specific journey, and the Catholic Board had an opportunity to really try to bring those together. And though they seem to be committed to that work in the long term, they didn't make a motion on any of the other recommendations that were brought forward by the committee that shared the report last night. They focused solely on the flag, and it seemed to be an opportunity for them to try to continue to denounce that. It's not the sole thing that's going to fix everything, but they had the opportunity to look at those other recommendations, and they didn't do it.
And despite it being 2023, we're seeing renewed attacks against the queer community around the world, most recently in Uganda. How do you keep a positive mindset when it feels like we're fighting for equality all over again?
The fight is going to have peaks and valleys, and our queer elders and allies experienced that through decades of fighting, and we're in a valley right now. And there will be a peak. We just have to keep fighting, and we have to keep climbing through that. Our elders were incredibly resilient individuals. The stories of so many folks like Gilbert Baker, like Harvey Milk, they inspire all of us, and they inspire me. Jeannie Manford, the founder of P-Flag, they all inspire me, and they should inspire our community, and they should inspire them to continue fighting. We're just in the valley right now, but the peak is coming up.
And that was Tristan Kuhlman. He is the president of P-Flag York Region Chapter, talking about the York Pride flag. And that wasn't the only issue, the only anti-LGBTQ plus story we saw this week, is we also saw Blue Jays reliever Anthony Bass apologize for sharing a homophobic social media post, a transphobic social media post, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't good.
I recognized yesterday I made a post that was hurtful to the Pride community, which includes friends of mine and close family members of mine, and I am truly sorry for that. I just spoke with my teammates and shared with them my actions yesterday. I apologized with them, and as of right now, I'm using the Blue Jays resources to better educate myself, to make better decisions moving forward. The ballpark is for everybody. We include all fans at the ballpark, and we want to welcome everybody. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
And to discuss that, we bring in the producer of Trending Now, Laura Sebben. And Laura, it's unfortunate that we have to keep bringing you on here
to talk about this, whether
it's James Reimer, in the NHL, them not wanting to wear jerseys. It is a rainbow. First of all, it's a rainbow. It's a flag. Mm-hmm. It is a symbol to let people who are part of that community know that they are welcome there.
Yeah.
And when you don't accept it, like the York region here, which is also putting out that tweet saying, we welcome you, God loves you, we love you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the floor is yours. It's really upsetting to see these stories back to back this week. On a month, we should be celebrating what makes us different.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Pride Month started yesterday, June the 1st. And
so to their credit, they did get ahead of it. They tried to get ahead of it. Yeah.
They were like, let's not do this in Pride Month. No, it is just like disappointing. And, like they always like to bring it back to the religion conversation, obviously. Which is, there's so many things in the Bible that people who say gay marriage is not okay don't follow, that like Jesus or God would say like, well, you deserve to not be too cool in my eyes for doing these other things.
You're wearing two different types of fabric at the same time.
Types of fabric.
You're working on the Sabbath.
Cutting your hair.
Getting your hair cut. Yes.
So many things that they don't do that aren't as serious as this. But so with the Anthony Bass situation, of course you have people defending him and saying, well, that's his religion. And I don't care if you want to use your religion to hide behind the reason why you don't like LGBTQ people, but in the video that he shared, if you watch the whole thing, they literally call LGBTQ people evil and demonic. So that's not super chill. Like, that's not really a religion thing.
Yeah.
Because
it was a content creator who was making a biblical case.
Yeah.
A biblical case. I'm using quotations. I do that a lot on the show where I use quotations and you can't watch us yet. So I'm letting you know that I am using air quotes when I say biblical case for why Christians should boycott Bud Light and Target after the companies openly supported the LGBTQ plus community. And the content creator, as like you said the queer community is evil and demonic. Bass apologized. He went in front of the cameras.
33 seconds, baby.
It was 33 seconds. We've played it a couple times. I played it when I was doing the sports desk on Tuesday. And didn't take any questions either.
Well, no, because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to answer the question. So he just was like, forget about it, guys. This is all you're getting from me.
What would you have liked to have seen?
I don't even know. Just don't make the post in the first place, probably. But I guess I would say, own up to it, instead of just being like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I don't think that. It's like, you obviously do if you felt compelled to press share to my story. Yeah. You obviously do feel that way. So I would have liked to have seen him take a little bit more accountability. And I'd even have liked the team to force him to take a little bit of more accountability instead of just being like, we talked to him, it's good. Yeah, I mentioned this tonight on Trending Now as the general manager Ross Atkins told the Toronto Sun that the club accepted what he called again, I'm using air quotes here, a very authentic apology for reposting that reel. Atkins continued, quote, the remorse was authentic. The apology was authentic. And the accountability was there for him, agreeing to take action to ensure he's not going to mistake like that ever again. The thing is, the Blue Jays, A, haven't said what kind of steps he'll be taking. Yep. And B, it's freaking Pride Month. I know. And they're hosting Pride Weekend next weekend. Which is always at the Rogers Center. Such a really big deal there. And I have to commend the Blue Jays organization for always doing such a good job at those Pride events. They always have so much to offer. Isn't it discounted now? Isn't whatever they do, because they didn't deal with this, and they have kind of, yeah. The thing is, so by association, the Blue Jays have also not done what they should have done, just by simply being like, he apologized. What more? It's kind of, it feels like he apologized. What more do you want? That's what it feels like, right? I want to know what the plan is for him to learn and be better by this. I think next week is going to be tainted a little bit. It was
it was interesting to see the fans' reaction.
Oh, yeah, when they all booed him.
Come out on Wednesday night.
Well, that's the thing, because now it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like a lot of queer people who are going to attend the Pride events are probably not going to want to see him there. But at the same time, if he isn't there, that's also going to be a bit of a red flag continuing on. So it's this double-edged sword now.
Well, and the thing is, he's a relief pitcher, so there's really no rhyme or reason for why he's in a position that he is. Like, he comes into the game for very specific situational reasons. So it's not like he's scheduled to start or he's the regular first baseman. He's a relief pitcher. He doesn't get a lot of time. I anticipate the boos aren't going away anytime soon for him. Like, this isn't something that's going to be brushed under the rug here.
Yeah, especially because he already is like being a weirdo online. That people were already mad about him.
Yeah, this is the same Blue Jays pitcher who called out an airline after his kids spilled popcorn, and they allegedly made his pregnant wife get down on her hands and knees to pick up the popcorn mid-flight. The nerve. But back to the Blue Jays here. I mean, they've done things in the past. Like, Kevin Pillar made a anti-gay comment, used a slur. They suspended him. A few years before that, there was another player who used a slur on his eye black underneath his eyes, and they suspended him for that. Anthony Bass, for whatever reason, this apology seems to be good enough for them.
Yeah. And, like, how much of an apology can it be when it starts with, all right, hey, guys, it's going to be really quick.
Yeah. Let's make this quick.
Let's make this quick. I don't really want to talk about this.
At least he wasn't, like, reading it off a piece of paper. Like, he was able to accept, like any other person who claims they're not racist or homophobic.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I have members of my family and friends.
He does have friends and family. Like, obviously, everybody in the world at this point.
Yeah, it would be hard-pressed to find somebody who doesn't have at least one member of their family or a friend.
And I'd be concerned about that if you didn't have a family member or a friend who is part of the LGBTQ.
Then you're probably not a very welcoming person because they aren't telling you that they are.
Your story today, I mean, that discussion, that could be a whole week, a whole week's worth of podcasting.
I just want to say I have to commend all the queer activists and queer advocates who have done this before, because I don't know how they did it when it was so much worse. I don't know how they did it. This stuff drives me nuts. You can ask Kelly every time I have to do a story on this. I'm like, okay, I just have to say, I just can't wrap my head around it. And I can't believe we're dealing with this still, but
on Pride, on the kickoff of Pride Week.
Yeah,
we're talking about this anti-LGBT, and then not to mention Danielle Smith has some horrible policies when it comes to LGBT. She's well, that's the week it's been.
If we're gonna get a woman in power, let's make sure she has some questionable views.
She was elected by the people. She lost 14 seats, but she was elected by the people of Alberta, which may say something about the people of Alberta. You're working on Oppenheimer. Okay, so it is pronounced like the historical event. This movie.
Well, that's what it's based on.
I figured. This movie's coming out this summer. Mm-hmm. It's Christopher Nolan's first R-rated movie since 2002. Mm-hmm. There's high expectations. What's your story about today?
It's about how Tom Cruise is releasing the new Mission Impossible movie. And just like Christopher Nolan, he really loves to film his movies in IMAX.
Okay.
And loves to tell people, watch our movies in IMAX, because that's how they were meant to be seen. And his movie comes out on July 12th. And Christopher Nolan's movie comes out on July 21st. And Universal, which is the studio who is putting out Oppenheimer, they have literally booked every single IMAX theater to show Oppenheimer for 3 weeks when that movie comes out across North America. So Mission Impossible only has 9 days to be viewed in IMAX. And Tom Cruise is not happy about that. And he wants Oppenheimer's release date to be moved so that Mission Impossible can have the IMAX theaters and then Oppenheimer
so
can have the IMAX theaters.
Traditionally, I mean, we've seen movies be pushed back for various reasons.
Well, this
not this short notice.
Not this short notice, but Mission Impossible, I can see why he would be a little bit pissed off, just because he's been just similarly to Christopher Nolan on the IMAX train for like over a decade now. He loves it. And Mission Impossible has been pushed back since before the pandemic. So it's been like 4 years that he's been waiting for this movie to come out. And I don't know why he just is like figuring out that
like
this is a conflict of interest. But
a month away. Is this like a part 1? There's another Mission Impossible after this, isn't there?
So these are supposed to be the last 2. So it's Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Dead Reckoning Part 2. And then allegedly there will be no more Mission Impossible movies made.
Yeah, that's not happening. Well, I was just also about to bring up The Rock was trending a little bit yesterday because he's coming back as Luke Hobbs on the Fast.
I thought he's back. I thought this was the last one.
Okay, so there was a mid-credit scene in which The Rock. Sorry, spoiler alert for any Fast and Furious fans here. In Fast 10. I don't know how they're just calling it.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. But there's a mid-credit scene in which his character Luke Hobbs comes back, and then on Twitter this week, Luke Hobbs, The Rock, was like, "Yeah, I'm back. I'm back, baby." And this is going to be a brand new movie with him. That's kind of a sequel that's going to bridge the gap to get to the finale, I guess.
I thought this one was the finale.
No, nobody knows. Just like this, there's no way there's not going to be at least 3 more Mission Impossible movies.
At least down the road, for sure. Well, I went to see the new Spider-Man last night, the Into the Spider-Verse.
So that was like first show?
I guess so.
Wow.
It wasn't intentional.
Nerd.
It wasn't intentional.
It sounds
Anyways,
like it.
I went to see it last night, and I knew that there was going to be a third movie.
Yeah.
Like, it was supposed to be a trilogy. This was the second one. And I guess it's kind of a spoiler alert. They made it. I'm not going to say what happened. It's a to be continued. So when you go into the movie, it's a to be continued.
That's disappointing.
And there was a point in the movie that I turned to my friend and I was like, there's no way this movie's wrapping up. Like, it has to be to be continued. So then, of course, the title card comes up that says to be continued. Some guy in the theater literally screamed at the top of his lungs, "What the?" Like, at the top of his lungs. I was like, passionate over here.
This was like 90, it's a 2-hour movie, right? Like, so it's probably at some point you're looking at your watch being like, there's no way.
Yeah, like,
there's no way.
The runtime was longer than the Cineplex app said it was going to be.
Oh.
So I'm going to air out
Was it
Cineplex
good?
for that. Oh, I loved it. I really liked the first one.
Me too.
So I really liked the second one. Started a bit slow, but yeah, this man was very upset that it was a to be continued. So I hope he didn't see Fast X.
What do you got going on this weekend?
I'm going to a house party.
Oh, what are you, like 18? Like a house party?
No, my friends.
Like a 12-pack of Bud Light Limes. And,
gross.
That was like my go-to, like grade 12, like when people started drinking, Legal. Well, no. But it was grade 12, so it didn't really count. That was like my go-to was Bud Light Lime. And I had one a couple of weeks ago. You know what? Didn't hate it.
Okay.
Didn't hate it.
You had enough time between. My friends and I used to send the, remember Vex?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I don't think I would ever try that again.
Bottles?
Yes, that were like bright blue and bright red.
So you say that. I won a wedding raffle. So these people are getting married, didn't want to have a stag. No, they had a wedding raffle. I won a Yeti cooler full of booze.
And there was
Vexes in there. And I actually drank them last week. Because it was the only thing in the fridge. It was the only thing cold. They're 7%. Those are dangerous. They're so sugary. They're so sugary. I think I ended up watering it down with like club soda.
You would end up throwing up off of Vexes because of the sugar, not the alcohol content.
I had a question for Manesa. I'm going to bring her in just a second. Before that, I guess I'll ask you. Mm-hmm. I went to the mall this week, bought new shoes, new kicks, Nikes.
Pretty nice. I'm a Nike stan.
I also bought a fanny pack.
Okay.
What are your stances on a 30-year-old rocking a fanny pack?
As long as it's not like an ugly color or like corduroy, you should be okay. Yeah, those are fine. Those are in. You'll look a little bit like a chav. I feel like that's what they call them.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Because you have to wear it over the shoulder. Like, I don't know, you have to. Well, am I too old? One of my buddies said, "What are you trying to? What are you, 20?"
Well, like Lululemon kind of brought it back. The crossbody bag, not so much the fanny pack. I mean, I think it depends on A, what the fanny pack looks like, and B, what outfit you're pairing it with. So I'm not going to say no to it.
I would only wear it with like shorts that like aren't like good pockets for walking.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I brought the Lululemon one and wore it fanny pack style when I went to Vancouver last summer.
See,
we go
fanny
for
packs,
a run.
Fanny packs are in. I'm not trying to recapture my youth with a fanny pack.
No, they're back in.
Okay,
a lot
cool.
of Y2K fashion is back in right now, so you're good.
The expert herself, Laura Sebben. Always appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
Thanks, Louie.
And my thanks to Laura Sebben, the producer of Trending Now, for joining me on today's show, as she normally does. And as she normally does, Manesa Dhanabalan is here. And Manesa, happy Friday. It has been very nice this week, like hot, like 30 plus. How are you with this kind of heat? Are you somebody who like embraces it? Are you someone who's like, I got the air conditioning on full blast? I know when you came into work today, you were complaining it was too hot on your car ride in.
I have a very funny story to tell.
All right, go for it.
So I love embracing hot water. Hot weather.
Hot water too.
Hot weather, not hot water.
It's your job to speak. Like that is your job. And 30 seconds into this, you struggled. Okay.
Take two. Hot weather. Take two.
We're not going to fix this in post, by the way. This is how it's going to be.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Let's just,
Cool.
I mean, this is how it is when I voice. You hear how many takes I do, so.
If you want to swear, too, you can do that, too. But only
I don't
the
swear.
lower level swears.
I never swear.
Ever.
Nope.
Wow.
I'm totally joking.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's impossible not to swear.
I swear all the time.
Okay, good.
It's pretty bad.
But don't say the big ones on this show. We can say, like, the medium swears, but don't say the big ones.
Why don't I just not even say any
Okay,
of them?
fine. Don't swear. All right, tell us your funny story.
Okay, so I love hot weather.
Heat.
Yes, I always leave my windows open. I don't really try to use the air conditioning because we always like in the winter we're like, oh, I want it to be hot, and then it's hot, and then we start putting the air conditioning down. I never I'm not like that. So I always leave the windows open, and I'm going on the highway, so it's always nice. There's like enough of a breeze.
It doesn't bother
Tuesday, the heat,
like the wind in your hair and like the noise, because I know there's a lot of people who are sensitive to the noise of the windows being open. Like
I put my music all the way up.
You sound like you would being a passenger in your car sounds like hell so far, but
it's always fun. Like anytime anytime me and my sister's in the car with me or whatever, like we put music on loud, we're just singing and whatever.
Not share though, not share. Oh, I got it in there. All right, go ahead.
Moving on.
All right, Tuesday.
So Tuesday I was driving, and for a very long time, okay, I don't want to like reveal the end of the story. So,
right.
Okay, I'm driving from like Mississauga all the way to like Burlington, like almost like where the QEW, like the 403 and the thing separates, almost all the way up until there was like a really bad smell. Like it just smelled really bad, like hot and very, very
garbagey.
bad. Yeah. And it was like consistent. And I was just like, is there a garbage truck? Did something unfortunately die on the road? I'm like, what is going on? And this has been a long time. It's not even like one little spot.
You're like
a skunk,
20 minutes on this.
So I catch up to this transport truck that, like the pork transport trucks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it was empty, but that's what was smelling. Like that smell, I knew it was that because it was so like strong.
Yeah.
It was like the same smell, but it was so strong all the way down the highway.
That's gross.
Yeah, it was just leaving a nice trail.
Maybe you should just close the windows and put the AC on. My air conditioning is broken in my car, so I haven't had air conditioning. This is the second summer without AC.
Okay, so
but my favorite thing to do is like if I have to take a station vehicle to get somewhere, if I'm going to a story, AC full blast, windows open. Or windows down.
Okay.
Yeah. So windows open, windows down, same thing. Because it's like, I think it's a Family Guy skit where it's like
where
he meets
Peter
this guy,
and it's like the best
why
thing
not
ever?
Both? So that's what I think of because he put the AC and the windows down. And
I've never tried it.
Yeah, I'll do
Is
it
it
next
nice?
time. Well, I guess because you're here, you put your stories. All your stories are put together here.
Yeah.
Next time you're ever on assignment, I swear, especially if it's not your car, like if it's a different car. And I can't do it because my car doesn't have AC anymore. But I love it. But you're big. You like the heat. You like the heat.
I like the heat, but like it to some extent. Like a day like today, it started to get to me at some point, right? Like I wanted to close my windows, but I was like, okay, whatever. I'm here already. But I walked in and I was like, oh my God, I feel so uncomfortable. So what? Like my old car. it used to like the AC used to work sometimes.
Okay.
And sometimes it was a weird thing where like it would be like on a bump or something, it'll stop working.
Oh, okay.
So one
it's like
time,
the CD that's stuck in my car. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
It was a really hot day. There was traffic on the highway, so there's no wind either. I was wearing a black dress and the sun's beating on, like literally beating on me, and my AC just stops working. And I kid you not, like I just had to stop. I had to like literally take the exit and like pull over and just cry for a little bit because I couldn't take how much
just cry.
It was tears were coming out of my eyes. It was too hot.
That's all you could do. Anything jump out at you this week, or you got the Suncor story today? Big layoffs, energy industry. This is too bad. I mean, these layoffs that happened. Were all the layoffs in Alberta?
No, they didn't say it properly yet. I'm not too sure about that, to be honest. Yeah. Like but they're like, when I spoke to somebody from the University of Ottawa today, like he was saying how like, it's just not looking too good for the oil industry. There's been a lot of uncertainty, so he's not too surprised about this happening, right? Yeah. No, it's too bad, for sure. What do you got planned for the weekend? I just got a lot of shopping to do.
A lot of shopping?
Yeah.
Oh, like planned shopping?
Not like, yeah. Because like it's like wedding stuff.
Yeah, okay. So like not as spontaneous. Because I was telling this to Laura Sebben. I bought a fanny pack at Winners this weekend.
Aww.
Am I too old to be rocking a fanny pack?
Not at all.
Okay. Even like, because
Why would you be too old to rock a fanny pack?
I don't know. I feel like it's like a young person thing with like over the shoulder.
What makes you think you're old?
I'm not that young.
You're not that much older than me.
I know.
Are you trying to say I'm old?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I'm old.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But Sunday marks 1 year since I've been at CHH.
Happy anniversary.
Well, 1 year since the first time I was on air. So I've been.
That's yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Happy anniversary.
That's how, because I was obviously hired. I had to be trained to do the job. But Sunday, 1 year to the day that I was on the air for the first time alongside our friend Nicole Martin. And yeah.
It's your on-air anniversary.
1 year.
Wow.
I know.
Look at that.
And if you had told me a year ago that I'd be sitting here on a Friday doing a podcast with Manesa Dhanabalan on Trending Now, I would have been very confused because the show hadn't launched yet. I would have asked how I got from the sports desk on weekends to podcasting during the week, but here I am. So
you said you wanted to ask me a question.
Yeah, it was about the fanny pack. Am I too old to be rocking a fanny pack?
That was your question?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to get confident because like my buddy is like, you're too old, but he wears a backwards hat. So I'm like, your opinion doesn't mean anything to me.
People who wears
backwards hat.
Why? What do you have against them?
I don't know. It's like a kid thing.
Is it?
I thought so.
That's a nice look.
All right,
sometimes.
I shouldn't be giving fashion advice. I shouldn't be criticizing other people's fashion choices. There's one thing I know.
I shouldn't either. That.
I wear the same two suits on rotation throughout the week here at Sea. Little secret here. I wear the same two suits. Now that you know, you might pick up on it, but I have no fashion sense at all.
Same two suits. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for it.
Gray or blue.
What if I go put like white out on like?
Then I'm screwed. Then I
would never.
Then I am effed if you do that, because then I have to buy another. I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Okay.
I didn't say it.
Okay.
All right. Manesa Dhanabalan, have a great weekend. Enjoy your shopping.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Bye, Louie.
And my thanks to Manesa Dhanabalan for joining me as always. And as always, very pleased to be joined by Kelly Botelho, who's hosting Trending Now. And Kelly, I'll pose the same opening question to you that I did Manesa. Mm-hmm. This hot weather, yay or nay?
Yay. Mostly yay, I would say, because I hate winter.
I'm very anti-winter too.
Yeah, so I will take this weather over crummy winter weather.
Yeah, okay.
So I wish it wasn't like this hot, but I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah, I mean 30, 31 in May, like June, the beginning of June. Like this is like August weather.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are taking advantage of it.
You're looking tan, by the way.
Thank you. I've been trying. I've been going, but like the thing is, like it's only like
it's a farmer's tan.
It's a bad farmer's tan. Like it's quite bad to the point where like that's blinding.
Wow.
Right? Like,
your upper arm is very white.
So it's getting burnt. I went sleeveless. I went for a long walk with my dog the other day. But yeah, no, it is like, it's a great tan. Yeah. And I also did this thing, and this is super interesting for our listeners. So I was trying to avoid getting a watch tan.
Okay.
And inadvertently gave myself 2 watch tans.
Because you were switching
Because I had been switching back and forth.
Oh, man.
But it's better than it would have been if I just kept it on. Because it would have been like my shoulders, but that.
Yeah, just keep alternating. It'll even itself out eventually.
Hopefully, yeah, exactly. Big plans for the weekend?
No, actually.
Isn't that good? Isn't that the best, though?
That's actually
the best.
Like
the first weekend of June.
You know what? I feel like
ease into it.
I just feel like there's so many tasks like all the time, like things like on the to-do list.
Well, you were working on the garden last weekend.
Yes, and that we did that.
Yeah.
We accomplished that task, and my husband and my dad worked super hard, and we got a lot done in our backyard. So that was really good. So we'll probably be outside this weekend too, but maybe doing some stuff around the house.
When you look at, I mean, we do this every week. We look at all the stories that are happening. I mean, the point of the show is to cover as much from entertainment to sports to news. You get the sense that there really is no separation between the three. Right. I mean, these sports headlines make news headlines, like the Anthony Bass stuff, like everything, what we talk about on this show. I mean, obviously, because it's trending, it feels sometimes that it's so quick. There's so much happening. How do you, as an anchor, as a journalist, as someone who does these stories day in and day out, how do you stop and kind of reflect on these stories?
Yeah, I mean, there's, like you said, there's so much, and it's across so many different, like, categories. Like, there's sports and entertainment, and then there's, the war in Ukraine and really heavy political things. It's a lot to take in sometimes, and, I'm not an expert in, like, any one category. Yeah. You kind of just have to go with the flow and try to be a mini expert in anything you cover, right? So it's interesting that way.
Somebody, like, people ask, like, oh, what's your job like? How's your job? And, when I'm doing sports, it's like, oh, it's easy. I watch sports. I write about it. I read the words I wrote. When people ask what about like the news stuff, I always say it's like giving a report in front of the class every day, like being assigned a project, being told you have this amount of time, presented in front of the class. It just so happens the class is 90% of Ontario that we're presenting in front of. Like it's
well, now that you put it that way,
like you have to reach out to experts. I mean, you're doing a presentation in front of the class every day.
It feels less scary than that, though.
Really?
I remember
you didn't like doing presentations. Did you do speeches?
I did, and I was probably felt
you ended up here. You ended up here, so you were okay at it.
I did okay at it. But even so, it felt scary at the time. And I would say that doing this feels less scary, maybe because we don't see our audience and we're kind of just plugging away all day, kind of by ourselves. And then,
focused.
Yeah, we don't have like the presentation's only in front of the camera, you know?
That's just the easiest way I can explain it to somebody. It's like, oh, what's your job like? It's like, well, you do something different every day.
Yeah.
But like you present in front of the class, like you're assigned your project. Maybe you're working with a team member that day, but you're getting input from somebody else, and then you have to present.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the easiest way. National Donut Day today.
Oh.
I can't believe it's been 30 minutes into the show. I have yet to mention it. Granddad's reopened. That's a spot here in Hamilton that's very popular. Salvation Army dropped off a bunch of donuts. How many donuts have you had today?
I've had 0 donuts
today. Was that like a conscious effort?
No, I saw that we had Granddad's Donuts earlier this morning on Twitter. And I was like, okay, I hope there's still Granddad's Donuts when I go in. There were none. No. So then I was just like, you know what? It's not going to be a donut day for me.
Shout out to Emily Vukovic, though, who brought in Miss Lynn's wings today, which were delicious. A lot of chicken wings. I'm always shocked at when people bring food in here, how quickly it's gone.
Yeah, it's done.
We make the joke in the newsroom that like we run on free food. It is so true. Like the things we do for food are jobs.
And we're so lucky because especially in the morning show, they always have good treats for us. Like guests bring in yummy stuff. So we're very spoiled in that way. And it's kind of not good for us either.
Oh, no. Because do you ever stop? I sometimes think about that where it's like, I feel full. But that's weird. What have I eaten today?
Yeah, you're just
it's
munching.
like, I had the donut. from the morning show. Oh, yeah, there was a steak left over from the morning show. Yeah, somebody else brought in food. Yeah, it's just the most random. There was a frittata that was sitting there all day next to the donuts, the chicken wings.
Like, I brought a healthy lunch today.
I completely forgot I brought a lunch today.
But we ate chicken wings instead.
Yes.
So.
I actually took the time, got up early, made my lunch, completely forgot it's in the fridge.
Terrible.
Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to go eat my lunch. You got a show you got to get ready for. I appreciate this as always.
Thank you.
That's Kelly Botelho. My thanks to her for joining me. My thanks to Manesa, Dhanabalan, Laura Sebben, and you as well. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This has been the Trending Now podcast. From all of us here at CHCH, I'm Louie Butko, hoping you have a great weekend.